Alongside Rob Lewis and Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable on this Georgia week. The #1 dogs come rolling into town, guys, on Saturday in what will be Tennessee's toughest test today.
No doubt, Rob, when you look at Georgia, I mean, gaudy numbers, unbelievable depth on the defensive side of the ball, heck of a challenge for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, 3 touchdown underdogs for a reason. I mean, Georgia, you just talked about the numbers. I mean, nobody scored more than 13 points on them per game. They're giving up just 231 yards of total offense, less than a touchdown per game, like 6.6 points per game. I mean, it's a historical good defense just by the numbers.
Nobody scored more than 13. Josh Heupel scored at least 14 in every game he's ever been the head coach in. Something's got to give.
I like the Vols to get 20. Hupper's a little skeptical.
I think they'll score more than 14, but I don't know that they'll score a lot. I just think they'll hit a play or two. That's what this offense is about. That's what they do. I think they'll scheme up a play or two here and there. And there's a reason why Tennessee's been really good in the first quarter. There's a real adjustment period for defenses to figure out the pace of play. Okay, they think they know how fast it is. They practice it. Then they get out there and it's like it's a little bit faster. I think that's part of the reason why Tennessee has scored so many points. Now, it helps when you can throw 75-yard touchdown passes like they did against Kentucky. That changes it. But even overall throughout the year, I think the pace of play in the first quarter, there's a little bit of catching up for the opponents.
Yeah, I'm not sure Tennessee's going to be able to run the ball Saturday. So that makes Hendon Hooker all that much more important, his ability to even use some short passing game as an extension of the running game. I mean, he's been dynamite.
Yeah, he has been. I think my biggest concern with Hendon Hooker, Rob, is can they keep him upright?
100%. I mean, Tennessee is by far the worst pass protection team in the SEC. Gave up five more on Saturday at Kentucky. They gave up 33 in the year. Georgia, the second best pass rushing team in the SEC in terms of sacks. That's to me that's got to be Josh Heupel's biggest concern is protecting him.
And here's the thing with Georgia too, Austin. They don't have to bring a lot of extra people to get to the quarterback.
No,
it's not like they've got to blitz everybody.
People.
Now Dean will come. They bring him from a bunch of different places, but he's a part of their regular pass rush package. So that's the scary part, I think, for Tennessee is can they keep Hendon Hooker upright to let him be decisive, get the ball out of his hands.
Let's flip it to the defense because that's where I want to spend a lot of our time. For me, I think this game, everybody wants to talk about Tennessee's offense versus Georgia defense, but I think it's as important for Tennessee's defense to bounce back, play the way they played for most of the year, and find a way to kind of maybe befuddle a Georgia offense that isn't as good as an Alabama offense that they saw a few weeks ago.
Well, I think the biggest thing for this defense is real simple. Can you get off the field and help yourself? I mean, they've given up 38 third or fourth down conversions the last 3 weeks. They gave up 37 the first 6 weeks, Rob.
I mean, it's terrible. Me and you were talking about the numbers just earlier. Tennessee is 126th in the country. That's out of 130 teams in third down defense. Last 3 games, you mentioned they've given up the 38. They've given up 68% conversion rate. I mean, that's unthinkable. I mean, and like we've talked about, it's not 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. They can't get off the field on 3rd and 6 and longer.
So you got to play smarter. I mean, you ask every coach over there, Austin. They talk about how you got to have better awareness of the sticks, a better awareness of your call, and then the other thing you got to do is you got to rally and tackle better. And by the way, for anybody who thinks Stetson Bennett won't run the ball,
yeah, he's sneaky athletic.
Oh, he will scramble around. You give him a place where he can slip out on 3rd and 5, he'll go for 9 yards and get a first down.
Well, much like you saw, and of course Kentucky did last week. They tried the double pass, and then the second backup option was come back to the quarterback, and that's where they threw it. But you've seen, once Tennessee gave up a couple of those, teams started doing that almost every week. I think that the new version of that is the quarterback run, because until Tennessee shows, hey, we can stop that, you're going to see teams continue to do it. It doesn't matter if it's Vanderbilt, South Alabama, or this week against Georgia.
Yeah, and I think Tim Banks said that a week ago. You got to prove that you can stop it, and I don't think they're going to design a lot of runs for Stetson Bennett. You don't have to, but I think the worrisome part of the 3rd down stuff is you can cover it all, you can make it all look good, you can collapse the pocket a little bit, Rob, and then the quarterback leaks out and has converted time and time again.
Yeah, and that's even when Tennessee has kept a spy at linebacker. It's just, I think it's tackling, I think it's bad angles. And as Coach Banks alluded to, I think, some situational awareness at times, down distance, who you're playing against. But I mean, whatever. I mean, it's just been bad. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for it.
All right, one player on defense, one player on offense that has to have a massive game for Tennessee to be in this in the fourth quarter. Take away Hendon Hooker, by the way. Besides him.
Take away Hendon Hooker. I think it's got to be Velus Jones, because I think Tennessee's going to have to take some underneath stuff, and they're going to have to. You want the home run plays, but you're not going to hit a bunch of those. So maybe it's Velus Jones or Cedric Tillman on out. Somebody in some underneath passing stuff, I think, is going to be important for Tennessee offensively.
And for defensive for me, it's one of the inside linebackers, whether it's Aaron Beasley or Jeremy Banks. They've got to be better, way better than they have been the past couple of weeks.
I'll just go back to the safeties. I just feel like that they're
I think they are what they are.
Well, you're probably right. That's probably a really good point. You know.
So maybe it's Byron Young, making a play. I mean, somebody on defense.
Do you bring more pressure this week?
Well, I mean, after what happened to you last week and you gave up 4th and 24, we all know what Tim Banks did after that.
Always open. Always open.
Not when it's 4th and 24, it shouldn't be open. But clearly, Tim Banks said, "I've had enough," and he brought you can't do that every play, but you got to be aggressive.
I don't see the downside to being Joe Lee Dunn level aggressive. I mean, why? It's death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, why not just take your shot and try to make something happen?
Yeah, take a 12 gauge to the chest if they hit you with a big gain.
It's interesting. They brought linebackers. I think obviously this linebacker, particularly Jeremy Banks, is a better in the box player going forward than he is in zone coverage. They've gotten Byron Young a couple of sacks the last 2 weeks on a couple of twists, where they brought him over a couple of gaps. Do they play a few more games up front? The downside of that is you can get gashed in the run game when you do that. But again, is there harm, in that? I don't know.
If Georgia scores in 8 plays instead of 12, that means your defense is at least getting off the field.
Unless your defense can tackle better and get back and get to a form that they were at the start of the year, and even better than that. They've got to tackle great against Zamir White and all these guys, those tight ends, everything. They have to be a great tackling team Saturday.
Well, one thing I do know is the fans will have it full bore, 3:30, CBS, and who knows, Tennessee's liable to pull out some kind of crazy jerseys, get the juice flowing early. He's Rob Lewis and Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable.